Hey, it's Cody from Crownlands, and you're watching CMS TV.
It is Chris Akin Presents, and I, of course, am Chris Akin. And today on the show, we are going to dig into the prog world a little bit, but not as much as you might think. I hate even using the term because I don't think it's the best way to describe this band. I don't know how to. I'm going to let them do it. The band is called Crown Lands. The new release is called Apocalypse. It's out there now. It is an apocalypse on your ears. It is a fantastic release. And I will tell everybody this, and we'll get into this when we talk here in a minute. You definitely want to give yourself time. This is not one of these 30 seconds and I like it or I hate it records. This is one you got to dedicate an hour to in order to get it. One more time, it's called Apocalypse, and here to talk all about it is Cody Bowles of Crown Lands. Cody, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad to have you on, man. And I'm not going to lie to you. I learned about your band about a month ago,
Hey,
which
that's totally fine.
I know that puts me 7 or 8 years behind, but I'm catching up and I've gone back and listened to everything now. And let me start kind of with a little bit of backstory here.
Yeah,
If you could
sure.
give us kind of the 30-second, we've been doing this for this long and this is why and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, sure. So we've been a band for 10 years. We started out as a blues rock duo, and we quickly learned that it wasn't for us. And so we have always been massive fans of prog rock and fantasy and sci-fi and storytelling. And we decided to move away from blues rock into more of a narrative-driven, progressive rock, classic-leaning sound with lyrics that talk about real world issues and stuff that we kind of see today. And we put it in our story and gloss it with a nice veneer of fantasy and sci-fi, and wham, bam, there we go. So, and that takes us really up to our Fearless album, which we released before, and now Apocalypse, that kind of continues that narrative delve into a deeper level.
Sure. On the creative side,
Yeah.
and this is more kind of encompassing the last two records, really, the last two that are not instrumental, put it that way.
Mhm.
You write some very long songs, and
Yeah.
that's hit or miss for a lot of people. I'm hit or miss with that sometimes. There's
Yeah.
there's some Dream Theater stuff I can handle, and then there's the 19 minutes or the 23 minutes. It's like, ooh, that's too much.
Right.
How do you creatively make the decision where to stop? I guess is, I mean, what separates a 5 minute song, which you guys do have, from
Yeah.
a 19-minute song? I mean, where is that? Is there something that you feel like you have to say or you have to develop, or where? How do you make those decisions?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think Kev and I come to this sort of understanding when we're writing a song where if we get to a part where we don't feel like we want to go back to the chorus and we want to go back to another part, we're like, is this one of those long ones? And then we have to rein ourselves in and we check ourselves. We go, well, do we have a story here? Is there a story here? Is this about X, Y, or Z? Where whenever we make a big song, there's always a decision behind it before we go into it, right? We have a riff or we have an idea, we have a story. And so with all of our long songs, we have this story and we want to tell it. And it's hard to tell a big story like to the scale that we want within the context of like a 5 minute song.
Mhm.
Even though a 5 minute song is on the longer side for most people with songs, we really like to take people on a journey and with our music too. So when we make music, we picture the story in our heads. And so we jam these riffs, and if it speaks to us in a certain way and it aligns with our vision, we develop it into one of those longer songs, be it an 8, 10, 15, 20-minute song. We just kind of scale it as it's needed. There's no like, for me, it's more like, is the song good? Does it tell a story? Does it have dynamic, right? Because the biggest thing is keeping people's attention, because everybody
Sure.
has a low attention span these days, more than ever. And even I am one to kind of hit or miss with long songs. So it just has to be cool. It has to fit our vision. And if it does, then we go for it.
Sure. And I have to imagine that the hardest thing with long songs is keeping the attention long enough to get to the message, because
Yeah.
as well as I do, most people are Spotify listeners, which is 30 seconds, 45 next.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of times, and on a lot of your music, really 45 seconds doesn't get you in. 45 seconds is kind of setting the scenery for you guys to tell the story. That
Yeah.
has to be frustrating for you guys who put so much creative energy into
Yeah.
creating a song.
Yeah, it is definitely frustrating, but we just decided to not write to those kinds of people who just listen for 30 seconds. We're kind of writing for people who are looking for something more. Maybe they're exhausted with this whole Spotify catered algorithm of people just making stuff that is so compressed and doesn't have a lot of deep messages and so we're looking to people who are willing to sit with us and allow it to grow on them and dig deeper and to be taken away on a journey really we write for people who are interested in that and if people aren't interested in sitting around for 45 seconds and being enveloped in an atmosphere then maybe they can try one of our shorter songs, or maybe it's not for them, and that's totally cool with us. Because I think us as a band, Crownlands is very much of the spirit of like we kind of do whatever we kind of like to do artistically, and if people are along for the ride, that's awesome. But if you're not, that's okay. But we're still gonna go on this journey.
Sure. Well, you
Yeah.
landed in the right place for this record to explore that with Inside Out. I mean, Inside Out
Yeah.
is obviously the mecca of where
Man, yeah.
prog bands can be prog bands. At the same time, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I was reading in the press that even though you signed there, you still kept it largely to yourselves. You did it in a home studio. You didn't integrate inside out into what you were creating. You
Yeah.
really kind of kept it, even though you moved to a bigger place, you kept it internal. A, was that on purpose? And B, how difficult is that when you're making new relationships with a label like this?
Um, yeah, that was very much on purpose because we had like we had most of the record, but it wasn't in a place where we wanted to show them because we felt we wanted to represent the final product. It took a lot of trust off the bat, out of the gate from, Inside Out to trust us enough to do that. And it is kind of a risk with the relationship to be like, hey, we're working on this album. It's our favorite thing we've ever done. Trust us. We can't show you yet. Obviously, that's something that's crazy, right? To even propose to a new partnership.
Sure.
Um, but they were so cool and so understanding, and they really did take the leap of faith, and I'm glad we delivered. We felt like we just had to give it that extra 10% on the top line with the vocal and the guitar licks on the top, recording in our home studio, just to get it just over the line to where we felt super confident, where we wouldn't have to go back and forth with them being like, hey, can you change this? Can you change that? We kind of already were on all those things. Um, but yeah, it's really cool to be able to be given that liberty and to work at our home studio so much. It allowed us so much freedom on this record and a lot of in result a lot of ownership over these tracks in a way that we never had before.
Sure. Now I know you worked with a couple of producers, obviously heavyweight producers, and David
Yes.
Bottrill and Nick Raskolinitz.
Yeah.
Um, but at the same time, you guys produced it. I'm assuming that by doing it in the home studio and by keeping it all close, you produced it. Other than bringing people in for like select little moments to help you flesh it out. Talk a little bit about that experience and
Yeah.
about where the line is between legendary guys and you saying, that's not what we want to do.
Yeah, totally. Well, originally we were going to work on this whole record with Nick Raskulinecz, and we went down to his studio in Nashville, and we did the drums. We showed him Apocalypse, and
Mm-hmm.
he the demo, and he was like, "Whoa, this is the best stuff you've ever done." And we worked with him before, so and he's obviously a legend. So we were like, "Oh shoot, thank you so much, man." So where do we go from here, right? And we did a couple songs with him in like batches. A couple songs didn't make it on the record, but they will make it down the road. Um, and we worked with him as a producer on that, and then we came back and we did the drums of Apocalypse with him. And he got the best like performances out of me. He always does with the drums. He's a legend. He's a master, and he would
Sure.
always push me to do crazier and crazier, more varied fills on the drums, and I really loved that. But then he got too busy to work with us because he's a very busy guy. He's
Sure.
working massive people, and we're relatively in comparison a small band. So we understood that, and we're like, hey, we're gonna have to take this back to Canada to finish it because we have to deliver this record. And he's totally understanding, so sweet. So we collaborated with him on Through the Looking Glass. We did with him and the Revenants and the drums of Apocalypse, and then we said, okay, thank you so much. We're gonna take it to Canada now. We did. And then we worked on our song Foot Soldier, The Fall, and Black Star. And we had like the rough demos of those songs, but there was still like about 20% on the top line. So like the vocal and some of the riffs on the chorus that just needed some kicking into shape. And we brought in David Bottrell, and he was so precise, and his approach is so laser focused, and he really gets you thinking about songwriting in such a different way. And so we collaborated with him on that. But like outside of all of that, it was our production and our vision and our shaping that really brought it all and glued it together to into one cohesive piece. And we filled in the gaps and we recorded everything else on our home studio.
Right on. Look at your screen right now. If you're tired of the hide and seek games with big tech, where links disappear and episodes get throttled, I've got the fix. I'm Chris Akin, and it's time for me to show you how to take back your access to the Classic Metal Show, the Seth Williams Show, and Chris Akin Presents. Pick up your phone, go to the App Store or Google Play, and download the Locals app. It is 100% free. Once you're in, just search for the CMS Network. You're going to see everything. Every interview, every unfiltered rant, every deep dive music discussion, every uncensored news article we put up, all in one centralized, uncensored hub. No more chasing links across 5 different socials. This is our home. But if you really want the keys to the kingdom, look for that VIP upgrade. For just $4.99 a month, you're cutting out the commercials, getting the advance drops before anyone else, and accessing bonus episodes that are way too heavy, dirty, or we just don't want to share with the free public. For the price of a cheap beer, you're supporting independent, unapologetic media. Download the Locals app today. Get some CMS wherever you are. And if you're a real one, join the VIP squad at classicmetalshow.locals.com. The Classic Metal Show and the CMS Network. It's uncensored, it's unapologetic. We will see you there. Well,
Yeah.
for people that don't know, Cody, the last 2 releases, the Ritual series, were
Yeah,
all instrumental records.
that's
And
right.
now this, the Apocalypse, you've reintroduced vocals and you're singing and
Yeah.
writing music. You obviously wrote 2 very big pieces of music where you write in a way where you're not even considering the vocal as an instrument, so to speak.
Yeah.
So does it change how you write, knowing that you were going in to add vocals? And does it specifically for you, do you write a little bit differently, like some of your kind of wilder drum parts,
Yeah.
so that your voice can fit in there?
Yeah, that's a good question because I feel like I started singing while drumming. I started
Okay.
singing for this project because Kevin couldn't sing and someone had to sing. And I realized that I could sing and I was like, "Oh wow, this is an amazing gift. I'm going to develop it." And so I've just been on this journey ever since. But through that journey, when we're songwriting, I instinctively play my drums around my vocal parts and vice versa. That's what I
Okay.
found. where I make room, and sometimes it's great, sometimes it holds me back, which takes me back to the thing where we involved Bottrell in the chorus of Black Star, for example. On the downbeat, I hit Black Star, right? It's on the downbeat, but in the demo, I would always skip to the end of the downbeat because I'm a drummer, and so instinctively I left that space for the drums and then take a breath and then go. Where
Okay.
he kind of got me to see the bigger picture and not see it as a drummer and see it as a singer, if that makes some
Oh, it
sense.
does.
But yeah, I feel like I approach the vocal on this in such an unconventional way because I was a drummer since I was one, and then I
Okay.
started singing at the age of 19.
Okay.
Uh, and so I kind of am still kind of new to this, but it's like I'm finding my way in it. And I feel like I write my melodies to complement my drum parts, and I write my drum parts to accent certain elements of the melody. But
Sure.
but most of the time I make the melody after the music. And so I sit with the music and I go off of what Kevin's doing. And sometimes for Apocalypse, for instance, I took the Apocalypse demo, which was instrumental, and I came here to my apartment and I just riffed with everything and I came up with all the melodies and all the lyrics just kind of like that. But it takes a lot of it takes a lot of time and you're flexing a lot of different muscles, right? It's
Sure.
a whole other world.
Sure.
But we visualize a lot of our music before we do it. And that's kind of
Mhm.
our approach.
Do you think that one side or the other, or both, are going to change as you develop more as a singer? Or do you think that you'll keep singing on each progressive record going
Yeah.
forward?
Yeah, the only reason we didn't add vocal on Rituals because it was very intentional to make it instrumental, and just to give that sonic space to the flute that I'm playing. And I also
Mhm.
couldn't play that like I couldn't sing and play flute at the same
Sure.
time. And I know I'm playing a million different drum overdubs at the same time, but for some reason, I just wanted to give the spotlight to the flute on those records. Moving forward, if we're doing full band stuff, I'm absolutely singing all the time, and I'm always refining it. Like I'm studying music theory
Okay.
uh, right now on my own, and it's been so helpful and songwriting, and I'm always learning because I never knew music theory beforehand. I just had a really good ear, and I'm trying to understand just the deeper inner workings of chord structure and progressions because Kevin's well versed in that. But I think that will help influence my singing and songwriting on these songs going forward.
Right on. Well,
Yeah.
Cody, as a guy that hasn't sang a whole lot, you're only compared to one of the greatest of all time and just about everything I read, Geddy Lee,
Oh,
obviously.
I-
No
yeah.
pressure or anything, but
I know.
but talk a little bit about that specific comparison because I personally and I'll just tell you I don't think that's ever fair. Not for you, not for Greta Van Fleet, not for anybody that gets compared to anybody else because
Yeah.
it sets a bar so high that I don't think people, you know, there's a reason Rush has been a 50-year
Yeah.
super dominant band.
Oh
And to
yeah.
to instantly come in and I've never heard you before and boom, well this is supposed to sound like trees. Well,
Yeah.
that's extremely hard to live up to. Is
Yeah.
it fair to ever compare a band and maybe even is it fair to compare a band before they have 15 years of product where you
Mm.
can really understand not only where they started, but where they've grown to.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about comparison is like Kevin and I don't shy away from comparison. We see it as like a massive praise, you know? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
shoot, I'm being compared to Geddy freaking Lee. He's my
Right.
hero. Are you kidding me? Like, I'll take that any day of the week. Like, I'm so honored. However, it is a lot of pressure, but I self-inflict a lot of pressure on myself, being a perfectionist, being an intense singer. I sing a very intense acrobatic style of singing that a lot of people don't do. And so I just want to do it to the best of my ability, of course. But there is definitely like this precedent to deliver, especially on vocal melodies that are good. And so writing progressive rock music and coming up with vocal melodies that sound good over like 5 or 7 and all these compound, weird, wacky tunings and signatures. It is kind of like a puzzle, right? To make a good melody over top of that.
Right.
And I think a lot of people don't know that part about progressive rock and making melodies over top of it. Sometimes it's wonky and so strange. And to make something make sense, it's like I almost envy people who just play in 4 because it's so much easier to make good melodies in 4.
Sure.
But
Definitely.
but yeah, but as for comparisons, it is definitely hard and sometimes it's unfair, but I welcome it. I'm very grateful for any sort of, praise people give me, and I don't take it lightly, and
Sure.
I to deliver on it.
Sure. There's a lot worse you could be compared to than Rush too. So
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
yeah,
Totally.
right on. Well, Cody, obviously when a band puts out a record and especially a massive one like this, fans want to hear it.
Yeah.
What are the kind of tour plans that you can share? And, does it look like you're going to be busy for the rest of the year and into next year? Or what does that look like at this point?
Yeah, at this point, it's kind of up in the air. It's kind of a blank canvas. We got a couple shows in Ontario and, oh, sorry, in Canada doing festivals. A couple more are going to pop up soon. We're looking to do a Canadian tour, trying to work through the feasibility financially of that, and then trying to work through some sort of presence in the US, doing a couple shows. Uh, and then in Europe as well. So we have a lot on the go, nothing concrete. We're
Okay.
trying to work everything out because, now more than ever, it is so hard to find a margin in the industry
Sure.
for a band at our scale to allow us the flexibility of touring. Touring is almost becoming this strange luxury that a lot of people aren't afforded. So we're trying our best because we live for the live show, of course. But we're trying to work within the limitation of our financials, sadly, and
Sure.
trying to do the best we can, man. So
Well,
hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see you soon.
sure. Well, let me ask you this about touring. I
Yeah.
don't envision your band, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I envision your band having a great deal of difficulty being an opener versus playing your own sets, just because, I mean,
Yeah.
an opening slot literally could be two songs.
And it has been before.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that's very, and I know you guys are going to play the music that you want to play, and you're going to play it with all your heart and stuff. But it's
Mhm.
very hard to swing new fans, which obviously is what you're looking to do, is swing new
Yeah.
fans with
Yeah.
two songs. That's just
100%.
difficult.
Yeah, so we try to play the shorter songs in that eventuality. But we definitely are moving toward more of like an evening with band. We just finished a tour across Ontario, our home province, doing 3-hour shows where we started with
Gosh, okay.
ritual material, dressed in druid robes with all sorts of fun, dressing the stage of like pillars and vines and all that fun stuff. And then we go into a duo set, then we end with the apocalypse where we bring out a couple other musicians where we're able to really stretch out and give them a full show. But it was like a 3-hour show and it was really fun. And like that is where I kind of see the band going. But, if there's a great touring slot in a market that we haven't really worked, it always helps the artist to take those, right? And in those moments, we'll do the Lady of the Lake. We'll do like a shorter song, like End of the Road, and just like stuff that's more accessible, more like Black Star and stuff like that.
Right on. Well, the
Yeah.
stuff that's accessible is accessible to everybody right now is Apocalypse. It is out there now.
Right.
Definitely check it out. On this show, Cody, we do not tell everybody to stream. We're not telling them not to, but we're telling them if you're gonna stream it to find out, fine. But buy
Yeah.
something. Buy a
Hey,
disc, buy an album, buy a hat, a shirt, whatever it
about
is
that.
to
Yeah.
help the band survive.
Yeah.
Where do we send them to buy something?
Yeah. Crownlandsmusic.com is
Okay.
where you would find basically everything you'd want to buy.
Okay. That's easy enough.
Yeah.
Well, one more time, it is Apocalypse. The band is Crown Lands and Cody. This has been fun. Thanks for joining me here on Chris Akin Presents.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Chris. It was such a pleasure chatting.
Follow the chaos. The Classic Metal Show is live on X. Stream all the episodes for free, watch the show live every Saturday night, or just get there and find out what is going on with the Classic Metal Show. Get your metal feed, x.com/CMS Rocks.